Hey, Strike King Pro Scott Suggs, and I want to talk to you about swim baiting. You know, coming from California, you see the great big swim baits and all this, and there's so many brands nowadays out there that it's unbelievable. But I'm going to talk to you about basic stuff, small stuff. I grew up on the water continuously with my dad. My dad was a big crappie fisherman. And over the years, we fished standing cedar trees, standing trees in Lake Washita and stuff. And we threw crappie jigs. And it was nothing to catch, you know, a 4 or 5 pound bass out there in those standing cedars and everything. So as the time went on, I got into really heavy bass fishing and everything. We used to grub fish. We swim a grub in these same places. Well, now swim baits have came so far along that there's any kind you want out there. And so basically the main thing about a swim bait is imitating your shad, the size of your shad, you know, or your herring, whatever lake you're on. And so then the next thing is understanding where these fish are suspended at, what depth they're at, what head that you need to have on it weight-wise to maintain that, what line size for whatever cover you're in to maintain a good level retrieve on this bait. A most important thing that people don't understand about catching fish suspended with a swim bait is you never want to be below them. You always want to be above them. You want to be within a 5-foot range above these fish when they're suspended like this. So I learned it really and truly the hard way. I learned it before ActiveTarget and everything else had came out. It would take me a lot of times, once I figured out the kind of areas to be looking for, a glorious day was finding, you know, 3 places. And then day after day, picking up 1 here, 2 there, 3 here. I mean, it adds up quick. Well, nowadays, all you do is you pull up to the area that you want to check out, you throw the ActiveTarget over, you look out there and see if they're there, or you keep moving until you find them with it. So it's a lot harder now. Back then, and for those of you who do not have ActiveTarget, what I would do is I would figure out exactly where these fish were at. If I saw them on my regular sonar or whatever, I would figure out the depth on the average, because they're going to pretty much be on the same average all over depending on your cover that's there. And if these fish were at 25 and I knew I needed to be at 20 to 25, I would go somewhere, I would put my marker buoy in 25 foot of water, I would back off and I would cast to it and cast to it and cast to it, and I would count, get that count, 1, 2, 3, 4, until I knew exactly when that bait hit the bottom at 25 foot deep. So then wherever I carried it, I knew what my count was. I knew where that bait was at. What's so crazy and ironic about nowadays though, is I pull up and I'm watching the ActiveTarget and I'm looking out there. As soon as I throw that bait, I go to counting. I'm sitting and watching it go down, but out of habit, I'm still counting because it's a habit. And it's a good habit to stay in, because if something happens, it's a real windy day or whatever, you're not able to keep your ActiveTarget right on top of them, you still maintain that count. You still keep that fish or that bait in the area where the fish are going to be at. So by doing that, it depends on what time of the year it is and what size head I want.